Hi everyone, welcome to the Redesigning School Counseling webinar for Renewal Schools. My name is Sue Reynolds and I'm president of the American Student Achievement Institute, and the focus of today's webinar is updating your school counseling goals. So in the slides that are coming, we'll kind of review that and talk about what that means, and then we'll go to the online system and just kind of look at how to update your goals. So, okay. One announcement that we have is one of our staff members, Debbie Howell, is now assigned to assist the RSC schools. We talked about that last month, how that tech support would be coming, and Debbie's going to be providing that. I'm really excited to have someone designated to answer your phone calls and your emails, to review your submissions. We were talking a little bit earlier about, what happens if a school gets behind a month or whatever. And, we never really worry if schools get 1 month behind, but when schools start to get 2 months behind, then we start to worry, one, that you're not going to finish the process, or you'll have so much to do in so little time that the work will be done not in a way that has high integrity. So one of the things that Debbie will be doing is that if you do start to get behind, she will notice and give you a call and just see how we can help and kind of nudge you a little bit to keep things rolling, because we know that when schools leave everything to the end of the year, the quality of the work that they do really drops. So Debbie will be reviewing your submissions each month. So right now she's working to review, or she will be as soon as we show you how to submit them. She will be working to review your vision statements, your revised vision statements. And then this month you'll be working on goals, and then next month she'll start reviewing your goals. So there will not be any submissions at the end of the year like we've done in the past. We'll just be reviewing these things as you do them. The nice thing about that is that if there are any issues with your submissions for either the Indiana Gold Star Award or the Ask a Ramp Award, Debbie will be able to ask you to revise work so that you'll be doing revisions as you go along too, and then won't have everything pile up at the end of the year. So we're real excited about this. I think you'll enjoy Debbie a lot. She's one of the most cheerful people that I have ever met. And I guess, Debbie, I think you can unmute yourself. Do you want to jump in here and just talk a little bit, who you are? And
sure.
Great.
Sure. Can you hear me?
We can.
Well, good morning. My name is Debbie Howe, and I have been coaching and mentoring my whole life, but mostly since 1999. I was the executive director of the Pregnancy Care Center in Jay County, so I worked with a lot of staff, but also with individuals who were making important decisions for their life. And then I went back to college and got my associates and my bachelor's degree with Indiana Wesleyan. I worked as a substitute teacher. I then went on to be a student services advisor for Ivy Tech and Indiana Wesleyan University, but then also adult programs with the John Jay Center in Portland. I have been an adjunct instructor for Ivy Tech for college, their IVY, which is a college success class. And then I have been with the American Student Achievement Institute as a strategic planning specialist. So I look forward to working with all of you and helping you through the process.
Perfect. So you can see that Debbie has a lot of expertise in strategic planning through her work with us in several different initiatives over the years. So she really understands vision to action. She understands rubric items connected to the vision to action process. So you're really getting an expert in strategic planning, in program planning, in Debbie. But you can also see that in her background she has some experience with social personal issues and some experience with academic and career guidance. So I think you're getting a great person who has knowledge of not only strategic planning, but also the social personal and the career and academic guidance. So, so welcome to Debbie, and please, we'll give you Debbie's contact information at the end of this webinar, and I hope you'd never hesitate to call her. She's just a great person to work with. So thank you, Debbie. So, okay, so here's today's agenda. We will be just doing a quick review, as we always do, and then this month we'll be looking at updating your program goals, and we'll talk also about the online system and submissions. Okay, so quick review. So the RSC beliefs, one of our foundational beliefs is that the school counseling programs help students make sound choices in areas that impact academic success. So RSC is all about helping kids make good choices, and we believe that when kids make those good choices, academic achievement will go up. So this is just a schematic that kind of says the same thing, that when school counselors provide sound guidance and counseling, kids make better choices, and as a result of that, then student achievement will go up. So one of the things that we always talk about is that in addition to being counselors, we are specialized counselors. We're school counselors, and our job is to help kids be successful at school. So academic achievement is the bottom line. As we deliver our guidance and counseling programs, we're focused on helping kids make the choices they need to make in order for achievement to go up. Then this year, when you redesign your program or update your program based on your new data, when we are designing, we just work that backwards. So today we're going to talk about your school's achievement goals. So we always start out with the achievement goals, and then we're going to go backwards to say, okay, what choices do kids need to make in order for our school to reach its achievement goals? And those actually will become your program goals. So school counseling program goals are goals focused on kids making good choices. So a program goal might be to help kids make the choice to turn in their homework, or to be be assertive rather than aggressive. So it's all of our program goals that we talk about this month are going to be focused on student choices. And then as a result of that, we'll help our school reach its achievement goals. So how do we help kids make sound choices? Well, we're going to design a guidance and counseling program that is targeted at those choices that we want kids to make. So both the guidance, the academic and career teaching that we do with kids, and the counseling work that we do with kids to help students overcome personal, social things that are getting in the way of making those choices. So, okay, so that's just the process in a schematic. And then in terms of the process this year, we've been getting ready for your first advisory council meetings. Then last month we jumped to vision, and you updated your vision statement or your pie in the sky dream that you hold for all kids in your community. And then this month we're going to look at your program goals. So this month is going to focus on academic goals that your school holds, and then also the program goals that your school counseling program will hold. And again, those goals are focused on the choices that you want kids to make. Then next month we'll start to say, okay, we've got all these program goals, but which ones are the most important? Which ones do we really need to beef up next school year? So those will become your priority goals. Before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about expanding resources, especially the resource of time, because we know that if we can get more time for school counselors, they can have more priority goals. They can work on more things, more choices that kids are making. So, okay, so once we have narrowed down all of our goals to be the ones that are just our priority goals, then in November, we'll start to look at what's getting in the way of kids making those goals, those choices. Sometimes what's getting in the way is that kids don't have the knowledge that they need to make an appropriate choice. in that case, it becomes a guidance issue, and we're designing the guidance curriculum to help kids have that knowledge. Sometimes kids don't make the choices that we want them to make because there's social personal things getting in the way, and in that case it's a counseling issue, and we'll redesign our counseling program to address some of that. And sometimes kids have the knowledge and they don't have any personal or social issues that are interfering, but we just haven't given them the opportunity. So we've never given them, they know we should do a career interest inventory, but we've never given them the opportunity to do that. So there's lots of different reasons why kids may not be making the choices that we want them to make. They don't have knowledge, there's a personal or social issue getting in the way, or we just haven't given them the opportunity. So in the root cause analysis part, we'll be looking for our targeted concerns. What do we need to change about our program? What do we need to change so that kids will start to make the choices that we want them to make? Once we know what's getting in the way, what the root causes are, then in December we'll look at your school counseling activities and start to decide, do we have the right activities? If what's getting in the way is that kids don't have the opportunity to take a career interest inventory, then what activities are we going to put in place to do that? If what's getting in the way is that we have a ton of kids that are being aggressive and are being pulled out of the classroom, suspended or to the office or whatever because of aggression issues, then do we need, first of all, a guidance lesson, and second, do we need some kind of maybe group counseling for kids that have aggression issues? So, so we'll look at activities in December. And then, so that's kind of redesigning your program. And then second semester, there's a lot of odds and ends. We're preparing to implement the activities that you decided to do. So second semester, we'll be looking at your guidance lessons. We'll put together a calendar for the coming year, both for your program and individual counselors. And then we'll also look at a budget. If there's funding required to implement the activities that you're thinking about, how do you get that funding? And do you have a budget? Do you need to go do fundraising? How do you make that happen? So, okay, so that's second semester. And let's just stop to see if we have any questions. And I'm not seeing any hands up. And again, feel free to unmute yourself and just jump in with a question if you have it. So, okay, so that's the review. Now, this month then, we're preparing to talk with your advisory council about updating your program's goals. You do not have to change your goals. If your goals are still appropriate for your program, we'll just keep the goals the way they are. But it might be that if one of your goals was to, that 100% of your students would take a career interest inventory, and you've met that goal, you've got that in your program already, then you might want to make that not a priority goal now and select one of the other choices to become a priority goal or to become a goal. So we first of all need to look at the big list of goals, not just your priority goals, but all of your goals. What are all the choices that kids have to make every year when they get to your school in order to succeed in your school? So there is a pre-meeting memo. We'll look at that in a sec. Your pre-meeting mailing will list your student achievement goals, so that will come from your SIP. And then it will present to your council your student data, and it will ask them to analyze that data. So what they'll be specifically looking at are the student choice data questions from the survey that you gave last spring. So in Indiana, from the Learn More survey, outside of Indiana, the Redesigning School Counseling survey. Same thing, it's just titled Learn More in Indiana. So what your council will be asked to do is in this list of choices, and with all the data that's behind those choices, they're just going to be asked to check the choices that all students should make. So my guess is that the choices that we have listed, I think, are good choices. And my guess is that as your council goes down that list, they're going to check every single one of them, or close to all of them. And then the second part of the homework, which is actually going to be helpful to us in our next meeting, not this month, is while they're looking at the list, we're going to say, are there any of these choices that bother you? Because there are so few students in our school that are making that choice. So, one of the choices is that kids turn in their homework on a regular basis, and, you've got only 3% of the kids that are telling you that that's happening. Probably a light bulb is going to go off and people are going to say, ooh, this is something that, we should really be working on. So later when we get to priority goals, we're going to come back to this list, but rather than having your advisory council look at the list twice, we're just going to do it all at once. So this month we're concerned about what choices should kids make, and then next month when we get the priority goals, we'll look at which ones they think are important. The other thing is in this memo, we'll tell your council that if you'd like to, you can also look at drill down data. So if you are representative of the Hispanic community and you want to see how Hispanic kids answer these questions, you can do that. Look at that and compare it to other students. If you are a free and reduced lunch parent, you can go in and see how are the lower income kids answering these questions compared to the paid lunch kids. So we'll make your council aware that if they have an interest in a certain group, maybe just third graders, or maybe just boys, or whatever, they can drill down and look at that data. Okay, so, and again, just jump in if you have questions. So let's do then, after that pre-meeting mailing, where everybody has looked at the student choice data before they get to your meeting, then we'll do a walkthrough. So basically, so this is the agenda for your meeting. You'll spend about 5 minutes just welcoming people, doing introductions. We'll do a quick review because we always want to put things in perspective. Then you'll present your school's achievement goals. That will come from your school improvement plan. So we're not, going off in a different direction than your school's going. We're going to pull that out of your school improvement plan. If that's not clear to you, you'll want to sit down with your principal and say, on our school counseling advisor council, we're going to connect everything to student achievement, and I'd like to be able to talk with our council about about our school's achievement goals. So can you help me, tease those out? Okay, so then we've taken a break. Then we're going to come back and talk about our school counseling program goals. So you can see that's the majority of the meeting, is to really talk about which choices do all kids in your school need to make. We'll talk a little bit about guidance gaps, where, when they've looked at that drill down data, where they've discovered that, maybe the white students are making, this choice on a fairly, regular basis, but our Hispanic students are not making that choice, and then we got to figure out, what's getting in the way of that group of students and resolve that. Or it might be that your affluent kids or your paid lunch kids are making, good choices, but your free and reduced lunch kids are not. So we have to figure out then what's behind that, and let's try to close that guidance gap. So, and then at the very end, just a real quick, again, looking at the big picture, what comes next? How are we going to use this great big list of all of the choices that kids need to make while they're in our school? Okay, so I'm not hearing anybody jump in with questions. Don't see any hands up, so I'm going to go on. Okay, so let's look at this month's submissions, then we'll go online. So one is the achievement goals. That's a document that you'll just upload. So it's okay to just write down, or type out, here's our school's achievement goals, and then scan it and then upload it. Or if you already have a document that has the achievement goals written on it, you could just scan that document and upload it. We just need somehow to have a record in the system of what your school's achievement goals are. No need to reinvent the wheel. If there's already, a one-page summary of your school improvement plan and it's got the achievement goals in it, just update that. Okay, then the second submission that you'll be sending in this month are the program goals. So here are the rubric items that Debbie will be checking. Let me go back to, you'll notice on the achievement goals there's only one rubric item, it's just that they're present. Okay, so on the program goals, we're looking for that the program goals are present and that the goals reflect desired student choices in areas that impact student achievement. So again, if your school is typical, you're going to have 60, 70 choices that kids need to make in order to be successful as they go through your school. Turning in their homework, asking questions when they have when they don't understand something in class. Just all of the things. So when we get to high school, submitting the FAFSA, visiting a college campus, taking the PSAT, getting involved in extracurricular activities. I mean, all the things that kids do when they go through school successfully and are ready to be successful in post-secondary education after 12th grade. So big list. Don't be surprised if that's got 60 or 70 choices on it. Okay, then we would like one program goal to target a specific student group. So in the difference is in the number 2 rubric item there, these are choices that we want all kids to make. But then in the number 3 rubric item, we're saying that, our free and reduced lunch students are not making this choice very well. So in addition to having this choice as a goal for all students, we especially have this as a choice for our free reduced lunch kids because they're not making that choice very well. So then one other thing, if you are an Indiana school, Indiana schools, in order to earn the Gold Star Award, we need to make sure that each of the Indiana Student Standards for Guidance is reflected in a goal, and we'll show you how to do that when we get into the online system. Okay, so those are the goals. Then in the council minutes, we, just to review, this has not changed. We want the minutes to contain the names of those present and the groups that they represent, so we can see that you've got, people from the Economic Development Council or a third grade parent or your local mental health association, your principal, school board member, students. We just want everybody's kind of, who they represent. And then the minute presents a summary of the activities and the discussions. And then also we want the minutes to point to specific people who contributed ideas. So they may say things like, Jane Doe added to the conversation that, and then you've said what Jane said, or John pointed out that. So the reason we do that is for the engagement of your council. You don't have to quote everybody, but if 2 or 3 people each month have been quoted, the message is that you're listening. And if people know you're listening, they will come to your meetings. So we're using the minutes to convey to people that you are listening and that they are being heard. Their voice makes a difference. Okay, still not seeing any questions. Okay, so let's look at the online system. And I am going to, I am logged in as one of our schools that's going through the renewal process. And I'm going to, and just as a reminder, anytime you get lost in the system, when you log in, you'll come to the main page, looks like this. Anytime you get lost in the system, just go over here to the left navigation bar and click on the Process tab. So one thing, though, that we want to make sure that is happening, and my guess is all of you have already done this, but I'm going to check the RSC uses, and you'll see that this school still has the first year process indicated. So I'm going to change that to renewal process, and there's a couple other questions back down here about how you're planning on being recognized, if it's just through Indiana Gold Star or just through Ask a Ramp or both or whatever. So make sure you're answering all those questions. That customizes your website, so we have to make sure that those are accurate. So I'm going to click Save, and great, we have that saved. So now anytime you get lost, we want to go to the Process tab, and you can see because I just told the computer that I'm a renewal school, the renewal curriculum pops up in the process. And I'm just going to scroll down until I get to September, update your program goals. And you can see that the first thing is to watch the webcast. The webcast that we are recording right now will be posted here. And then the next step is to send out the pre-meeting memo and the achievement goals. So I'm just going to download this so you can see what that looks like. And here is the letterhead, and I'm sorry, here is the document. You'd add your school's letterhead here, and then just kind of, you know, read through this and update any parts, change wording that you don't like, whatever. But these are the instructions for what to do. And yeah, so anything that you'll need to update, we put in red. So just make sure that you've, you know, given people that you've updated that information. Okay, so that will help people review your data before they get to your meeting. Then this other download button, that is actually the, let me go ahead and we'll look at that too. That is a document that we've provided. It's a template that if you don't have a, you know, a very concise way of showing your council what your achievement goals are, this is just a template that you could use, fill it in, and then upload this into our system. So you would say, you know, in your school improvement plan, is this a goal for all kids or just your free reduced lunch kids or kids who didn't pass the state tests, or, you know, who's the student group, what's the achievement benchmark, what's your current data in that area, and then what's the target data. So if, you know, if your school doesn't list a target data in your school improvement plan, they probably do, but if they don't, you can just remove that column. Notice here too, you also want to give your council the year that this the year of the school improvement plan that this data was taken from. So there's achievement goals, and then, you know, just for you to fill in, puts it nicely on one page. Don't have to use this, it's just a tool for use if you want to. Okay, so those are the resources that we've given you for the pre-meeting mailing. And then you're going to upload the achievement goals. So you'll just click the uploader file. That will give you a tool where you can select a document that's in your computer and then upload it. Keep in mind that when you upload that document, it will take out the one that was in there from when you did this 3 years ago or whenever. So, okay, so then you're going to conduct Council Meeting 2. When I click on this, I come again to the Renewal Manual, and I'm going to scroll down to Meeting 2. And as always, we have the, you know, the cover page, the agenda, everything you need. Here's the PowerPoint presentation, the vision, your vision statement. This will actually show your school's vision statement, and then your current program goals. You'll need those for the meeting. We'll walk through that in a sec. And then tools, how to prep for this meeting, facilitator's notes, the pre-meeting memo, achievement goals template. There's infographics to use during the meeting, and then follow-up tasks. So I'm just going to go ahead and open the presentation right now, and we can just walk through that very quickly. So when you're ready to do that presentation, here it is. So the first few slides just go with introduction, review, the stuff that we've already kind of been over, but you're going through that with your counsel. Then you're talking with them about, today we're going to look at program goals, and you're defining for them the difference between achievement goals and school counseling program goals. So it's really, this is a place where people tend to get mixed up. You know, they don't think about, oh, we have different kinds of data and different kinds of goals. So you need to determine here that this is that there's a difference between your school's achievement goals and then your school counseling program goals. I'm just going to try to make this slide a little bit bigger, but I can't seem to get it to, let's see. Oops, I want to go to slideshow. There we go, from the current slide. Okay, so then we also need to remind people how we express data in RSC. So it's always to increase the percentage of a student group who reach a certain benchmark, and then we show our baseline data and then our target data, and then the time frame is by the end of next school year. So I just would read it through a couple of examples. Our goal is to increase the percentage of all students who report bullying when observed. Our baseline data is 65%. That data can come from the Learn More survey or the RSC survey. So we're at 65% right now. We want to increase that to 85%. So, and then of course the programming that you design would be, focused on kids making that choice. So, and then you can see the last two examples are have focused on a specific student group. So all 8th graders, we're not talking now about all students, but just the 8th graders. We want to create a high school course plan. Right now, nobody's doing that. We want to increase that to all of them doing that by the end of next year. And then in terms of your guidance gap, in the data, maybe you've noticed that boys don't ask for extra help as much as girls do in class. And so we have a specific guidance gap goal to increase the percentage of boys who ask for extra help in class. So, okay, so that's expressing the data. Schools achievement goals, this is just a slide for you to fill it in to remind everybody that, our goal is that our 9th graders will pass the Algebra 1 end of course assessment. Our goal is that 3rd graders will be reading at grade level. What's the current data? What's the target data? Okay, now let's talk about our program goals. And again, you're reminding people that the program goals are designed to help drive this academic achievement. Okay, so again, we're reminding people that, of this pyramid, and that our student choices are the program goals. That's the whole thing about school counseling is to help kids make good choices. So our key question today is, what choices should all students make, because those choices will enable students to reach the school's academic goals, succeed at the next educational level, and ultimately to succeed in post-secondary ed and succeed in a global economy. So what choices do we need kids to make? So we've given folks a list of possible goals, and we've asked them, you're telling your counsel, we asked you to review the student choice report and bring it with you today. So now what we'd like is to just take 2 or 3 minutes and just review the report that you brought with you today and note the choices that you checked. So we're just pausing, everybody's pulling out the reports. They're probably noting that they checked every single one of those choices, or almost all of them. And then we're asking folks to, to themselves, to think about, are there any additional choices that students should be making that weren't on that list? And if so, we need to talk about those. So there may be, 1 or 2 things that, our organization didn't think of when we made that list, or that maybe are important in your community but may not be important in the community, across the state or in a different state. So are there any choices that we need to add? So then for the council, we're saying to the council, for you to show your input, we're going to use an Instagraph. And what we'd like you to do is to place a sticky dot or an X above the goals that you do not feel are important for students to make at our school. So you're voting for any of the goals, as many of the goals as you want, but the ones that you do not think are important for kids in your school to be making. Okay, so let me go back, and I'm going to go back to the, let's see here. I want to go back to the manual, and let's look at one of the Instagraphs. So I'm going to download this Instagraph. And on this Instagraph, I downloaded the high school one. Here are all the possible goals that were in the survey. So, you know, the plan to continue their education after high school, plan to attend post-secondary education as a full-time student, submit a post-secondary application, use the internet to search for information about college. All of this had data and came out in that report that they looked at. So they're voting for things that they don't think are important. You know, some of these, there's a couple of questions in the Learn More survey that really in today were pertinent when that survey was first put in place even a year ago, but since then things have changed and they're not pertinent, so there may be some things that just aren't pertinent anymore. So so in the Instagraph, the first person up, of course, is putting their little sticky dot, you know, in the first box, and then if the second person up is also thinking that kids don't need to make that first choice, they would put their X or their sticky dot in the next one. And so what you're going to do is you'll have maybe a couple areas that people just don't think are important. And then you can ask, you know, the group, okay, do we need to take those off and not have those be one of our program goals? You'll notice that this is just the high school list. And in our thinking about the choices that high school kids need to make in order to succeed through school and be ready to be successful in post-secondary, there's 59 choices that we can think of that all kids need to do well in order to be successful while they're in your school. So it'll be a long list. Okay, so going back to the PowerPoint. So you're getting everybody up, and they are putting their dots on the sticky. They're putting their sticky dots on the Instagraph. That will get the discussion going. And then we're asking folks to again brainstorm. When you looked at those guidance gaps, are there some groups of students that are making sound choices at a rate that is less than their peers? My guess is if you are in an urban school, some of your ethnic groups may have achievement gaps. You're also probably going to find achievement gaps in your free and reduced lunch and paid lunch students, my guess is. If you are a rural school, you're probably going to see a gap between your paid lunch and your free and reduced lunch students. We tend to see that in all schools. So, you know, people will be bringing up places where they are seeing gaps, and then what data made them think that they saw this gap. Okay, so there's a guidance, there's an Instagraph for them to indicate the guidance gaps. Let's go back and go back to the manual and the guidance, the goals gaps Instagraph. So we'll show you what that one looks like. And we're looking for places where fewer students and the student groups are making sound choices. So this time they would, if they're seeing a gap that boys don't make as good of choices as girls in these areas, they would just put their little dot there. Or if it's free and reduced lunch kids, they would look for free and reduced lunch and say, you know, these kids really aren't making the choices that we want them to make at a rate that is comparable to paid lunch kids. We have a gap here. You know, parental college, no parental college. So, you know, this data is really, really interesting. You can see all the different ways that we disaggregate the data. One way that I love looking at is by report card grades, self-reported report card grades. And I think, it'll be very clear that perhaps one of the reasons that kids get D's and F's is because they're not making good choices. And if we focus on those choices with our low-achieving students, we can hopefully raise that achievement. So, okay. So that's that Instagraph. Let's go back to the walkthrough. And then we're to the looking ahead part. And we're thanking for everybody for attending. And we're explaining to them that after today, the steering team will take all of your input and we'll come up with our program goals. And these are all of the choices that we want all students to make ideally. And this will be based, of course, on the council's input. Then we're just kind of giving them a heads up at our next meeting. We're going to talk about narrowing down that list to our priority goals. But before we know how far to narrow, we need to look at what our resource is going to be, especially time. If we have a lot of time, we can put name a lot of things as priority goals. But if we just have a little time, then maybe we can just have one priority goal. So, and just a heads up, the time task logs that you've been talking about, when we get to this next meeting, when we're talking about resources in another month, not this month, but in another month, we'll pull in those time task logs. Okay, and then we're just going ahead at meeting 4, what will happen, at meeting 5, what will happen. So we're just kind of giving people a preview. Okay, jump in with questions. I'm going to go back to the online system. Just jump in here if you have a question. Okay, so I'm logged back in as one of our renewal schools, and I'm going to pretend I'm lost, and if so, I would just go back to the process tab, and I'm going to scroll down to September. I've conducted my meeting. Now I need to enter my program goals. So I'm going to come over here to the enter, and this is, I think, a pretty cool page. So there's some steps here. We've just reminded people that you have to conduct your advisory council meeting first. And then this is a shortcut. Because we believe that almost all of your council members are going to say, yeah, kids need to make all of these choices. What we're going to do here is give you a tool. So I'm going to click on the enter. You have a tool that lists all of the choices. So these are choices for a middle school, and they're all there. So if your council said, yeah, let's go with all of them. All of our kids need to make this. All you need to do is click select all. And then if it were like all but one, you could do select all and then unclick the one. Okay. The other thing is that maybe you're going to have a goal that is for, that's a gap goal. So you want kids to plan to go to college, but it's not really important to you that this is for all kids in your school. So it's just maybe important for the 8th graders. So you can select, I just want to have that be one of our goals for 8th graders. So you really need to kind of fine-tune each of these goals. Which grade level do you have that goal for? On the other hand, if you want your 7th graders to plan to go to college also, that's a goal. Then click all goals. And just a reminder, when we say the word college, we mean all types of post-secondary ed. So 4-year, 2-year apprenticeship program, career colleges, skill training in the military. We're talking very, very broadly there. Some of our work in Indiana, they use that word college very broadly, so we're kind of locked into that. But we mean post-secondary when we say college. Okay, and then let's say that this is a gap goal. You want to have it for 8th graders, but not all 8th graders. We're looking for free and reduced 8th graders. We're seeing that there's a real gap in that area. or, I mean, there's just, all different ways you could do that. So that's how to create a gap goal, is you just change the student group. Okay, so after you've done that, you go down to the bottom and click Add Suggested Program Goals. Okay, one other thing about this that is totally cool, I believe, is that anything that you have in here that you select as a goal, if it's on this page of suggested goals, it means that we have data for that goal for your school. So if you select any of these, when you go to the data part, the system will automatically drop in your baseline data from the Learn More survey or the RSC survey. So anything you pick off this list, we already have baseline data for. Okay, hit save at the bottom. I'm not going to hit save because this is a real school. So that was, I'm going to add from the suggested program goals list. Now I'm going to add other goals. So I'm going to add a program goal. I'm going to click enter. And the goal name is you're entering the student choice that you want kids to make. So maybe there's something specific to your school. So maybe it's going to be that you want them to participate in the reading club. And this is a club that's offered to all students, but who we really want to do this is our kids who have limited English, and then save the goal. So that's how you can add to the goals that we're suggesting. So if there's something that's specific to your school, or if you don't like the way we have worded a goal, like maybe you didn't like that word college, and you want to not select that there, and you want to say participate, or I'm sorry, enter post-secondary, I remember here, plan to attend, I think that was the way it was worded, post-secondary education after high school. So, if you don't like the way we've worded something, you can change it there. Okay, and then save. Now, one caution: if you have changed the wording, we're not going to be able to come up with baseline data for you. So you'd need to come up with your own baseline data on this one. You could use data from the Learn More survey or the RSC survey, or come up with your own data somehow. Maybe if you have 4-year high school course plans that have a post-secondary education plan embedded in it, that you could count those to see what percentage or what number has this. So, but you are going to have to, for your priority goals, you are going to have to come up with data for them, not for all of your goals, but just the priority goals. Okay, save the goal. I'm not going to do that because this is a real school. So now I'm going to review the program goals report. So I open up that report, and that just tells me here's all my goals, here's the grade levels that we have that goal for, and the baseline data if this was associated with a goal that was on the Learn More survey or the RSC survey. Okay, so I'm going to review the report. Then I'm going to edit the program goals below if needed. And when you're editing, you'll notice that some of these cannot be edited. That's because these goals are associated with baseline data. So if you were to change the wording of those goals, we don't feel that the data would still be applicable. So we don't allow you to edit a goal that has data associated with it. So let's say I didn't like this one, almost always turn my homework in on time. I just wanted it to say always turn my homework in on time. What I can do is delete this goal and then go back and create a new goal that has it worded the way you want it to. So that's why some of these you can't edit, because they're associated with data. And we've told you over here that, why this came from the suggested goal list. But all the others, you can just open them up and edit them if you don't like the way it's worded. You can edit that. Okay, so that is editing. And then the last thing you're going to do is enter the meeting minutes. And I'm going to click that. And this is the goals update. So I would click the enter edit. And then this works the same. What was the date of the meeting? Who's writing the minutes? And then you can just write those minutes in a Word doc and then just paste them in here. Okay, so that's the walkthrough. There's one other thing very, very important. I know I'm right up against my time. This will take just a couple of minutes. We are now set up for you to make the monthly submissions. So again, when I talked about and introduced Debbie, you know that Debbie's going to be reviewing your submissions. So we want to show you how to do that. So we will be sending you a link where you can go to see this report. And let me make sure. Nope, I've got to get the right page here. Okay, so you'll be able to see this, and I'm going to go ahead and write. I know we have Munster High School participating in this webinar, so your school's name will be listed up here in the top column. So then let's just kind of look at the instructions. When you're finished, the first thing you're going to be submitting is the RSC uses that you've updated that tab. So when you've done that, you're going to, let's just kind of read this. I want to make sure we don't have any questions on these instructions. We're going to send an email to Debbie Howell at asainstitute.org when you're ready to submit. The subject line is going to say RSC review. So as soon as Debbie gets an email that has RSC review, she knows you're ready for us to review. In the body of the email, we need you to state this: your school name and the exact name of your submission, so Debbie knows what she's reviewing, what she needs to open up. So the first one, the exact name would be RSC uses. Second one, the exact name would be steering team roster, student survey. So we need to make sure that you're telling Debbie you're ready for her to look at these things. Some of these things were due last spring. You worked on them last spring, so you just need to, you can send Debbie one email that says, okay, I'm ready for you to review, and then a list: RSC uses, steering team roster, student survey. This one's not due. Counselor time use log is not. I'll change that. That's going to be due, I think, in November. So we're sending that to Debbie. That's how she gets her notification. Then she'll open up your online system, and she'll read whatever it is. Then we're going to watch the box in your schools column for a little triangle to compare to see. So let's say that you turn in your roster. Let's say Munster High School turned in their steering team roster, and Debbie is reviewing it. Then what Debbie's going to do, let me see if I can remember quickly how to do this. She is going to add a comment and insert. Here it is. She's going to insert a comment, and she will say one of two things: meets criteria, and she might make a little personal note there or whatever, but what you're looking for is meets criteria. Or she's going to say needs revision. If she says needs revision, she's going to give you a clear statement on exactly what you need to do, and maybe some suggestions even for how to do it. So in this case, she might say the rubric requires that at least 2 people are on your steering team, you need to add a person. Okay, then she'll make that comment. And then when she makes that comment, you see this little triangle? Then that tells you that she has commented. So you need to monitor this page after you've submitted something and make sure that we've got the triangle there. The other thing that Debbie's going to do is that in this box, she's going to type a note, needs revision. So anytime you see a needs revision, you know, click the little triangle and that'll tell you what you need to do. So, or it might say meets criteria. So ideally, what's happening then is that what you'll start to see is that on your school's column, it will say, you know, it will just start to build this, that it will say, you know, meets criteria as Debbie is reviewing all of these. So there should be a couple of things a month that you're submitting. And again, this time we need to play catch up on the things that you worked with last spring. So we'll have a lot to submit this first time. But you know, when you're ready to submit your vision statement, you know, you'll just come down here to the vision statement row, send Debbie the email letting her know that you want her to review your vision statement, and then, you know, she'll type in that it meets criteria. Now, the other thing that will happen is if we have columns that are starting to be inactive, then we will go into what in-house we call, in a very friendly way, nag mode. And we also call it friendly reminder mode. But we just want to make sure that you're not leaving everything till the end of the year, because we know that that really impacts the quality of your work. We also want to be there to help. So, you know, we want to be able to say, you know, that you know, we noticed that you haven't had a meeting for 2 months, and you know, what's going on? You know, can we re-explain something to you? You know, is there something we can help you think through? Debbie's really good at that. So yeah, so that's how that's going to work. There is Debbie's phone number, 812-349-4142, and there's her email address. Now, we have one favor that we'd like you to do. If you would please, today or tomorrow, call Debbie on the phone, introduce yourself, and you know, just tell her a little bit about your school so she can get to know you. I think we'd rather do that in a phone call than an email, just so you know, you can chit-chat for a moment. You know, you might share with her, you know, just like the demographics of your school, but also any hurdles that your school is facing right now, or any successes, you know, what you like about your job, what the hardest part about your job is, you know, just kind of chit-chat, let Debbie get to know you a little bit. Also in that phone call, we need to know who's going to be the contact person for these submissions, and then that contact person's phone number and their email address. So, and as you're having that discussion, Debbie will go on this website and she'll make a column for your school. We'll put these in alphabetical order so it's easy for you to find. But yeah, but she'll do that, and then we'll be all set. So she will also, after you've done that, Debbie will send you an email that has the link to this page, so that you can start monitoring it. You won't be able to edit this page, only Debbie can edit, but you'll be able to monitor this page and use it, you know, for communications. So, okay, I think that is it. So we're a few minutes over. I apologize. I always try to finish right on time. Let me see. Debbie, I'm going to ask you, is there anything, Debbie, that you feel like I need to re-explain or that wasn't real clear?
Nope, I think it sounded good.
Okay. Okay, very good. We are going to sign off then and thank everybody for participating. Remember, Debbie's your person, Debbie Howell. She is super, super cheerful, super helpful, super understanding, and I just really look forward to the relationships that she's going to build with your school, so do not hesitate to call her. So, okay, thanks so much, and we'll sign off. Thank you.